Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Let me start by saying this. I do not take this executive action lightly. I would have preferred to work in a more collaborative approach. I would have preferred to do the work with our allies in City Council to pass legislation ultimately. And we were doing that. We were doing just that. But some of the leaders who we are working with are standing behind me today. But unfortunately, we do not have the luxury of time. We have received credible reports that we have days, not weeks, before our city sees some type of militarized activity by the federal government. It is unclear at this time what that will look like exactly. We may see militarized immigration enforcement. We may also see National Guard troops. We may even see active duty military and armed vehicles in our streets. We have not called for this. Our people have not asked for this. But nevertheless, we find ourselves having to respond to this. Let me be absolutely clear. Although we believe the reports we have received are highly credible, this is an erratic, impulsive administration, and it is not always possible to understand and know exactly how he will move. He could change his mind, he could reverse course. In fact, I encourage him to do that. But still, we take these threats seriously, and we find ourselves in a position where we must take immediate, drastic action to protect our people from federal overreach. I'm signing an executive order today that will launch the Protecting Chicago initiative. This is a project that builds on the months of preparation that we have done that has led up to this very moment. Protecting Chicago will ensure that every Chicagoan knows their rights, that every single family is prepared, and every part of city government is directed to protect the people of Chicago from federal action.
Isn't it funny that this guy, who I just did a video about how it is that they're facing a $1.2 billion, let me be careful, $1.15 billion budget deficit, can't close the hole, is short 2,000 police officers, can't keep the people in Chicago safe, juking the crime stats, but yet they sit there and ask the federal government for $800 million and don't want to actually make the streets safer for the people that actually live there while raising property taxes. I think that this is one of the most incompetent mayors that I've ever witnessed in my 43 years on this earth. He is going to drive the city into bankruptcy. He is going to continue to make sure that the streets and all of the businesses leave. The Magnificent Mile is having historic vacancy rates. You guys are going to have your property taxes raised. The criminals are just salivating at the idea that the Trump administration hopefully won't come in. And more importantly, they are one of the biggest supporters of illegal immigration and migrants coming into this country by not only making themselves a sanctuary city, but also making sure that they give hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars to illegal migrants. I hope you guys are happy. You deserve it. You voted for him. He is wearing a mohawk as a mayor of a city in 2025. Absolutely insane.
This sweeping executive order directs our Department of Law to pursue any and every legal mechanism to hold this administration accountable for violating the rights of Chicagoans. This order affirms that the Chicago Police Department will not collaborate with military personnel on police patrols or civil immigration enforcement.
The Trump administration, when the Trump administration first got into office, made a simple request to sanctuary cities. And that request was this: make sure that you guys, when you do arrest an illegal migrant that is doing something that they're not supposed to do, to contact ICE and Homeland Security to ensure that we deport them, because we don't want any of the most violent, non-caring, disagreeable illegal migrants in the city, in any city, let alone on the soil of the United States of America. And what did Chicago do? They took the lead to make sure that they were belligerent, that they were disrespectful, and that they did not work with the Trump administration to make sure that our streets are safe. But not only that, they spent your taxpayer dollars to protect them. Now they're sitting there telling the Trump administration what they can't do in order to make sure that the streets are safe. Mayor Bowser over in Washington, D.C., literally just did a press conference thanking the Trump administration for crushing crime in D.C. in less than 2 weeks.
We will not have our police officers who are working hard every single day to drive down crime deputized to do traffic stops and checkpoints for the president. This order affirms the CPD officers will be directed to wear CPD uniforms and refrain from wearing masks so that residents can clearly distinguish them from federal agents. And finally, as I said, it establishes the Protecting Chicago Initiative, the most sweeping campaign of any city in the country to protect ourselves from the threats and actions of this out-of-control administration. We will protect our Constitution, we will protect our city, and we will protect our people. We do not want to see tanks in our streets. We do not want to see families ripped apart. We do not want grandmothers thrown into the back of unmarked vans.
Really, bro? Really? The fear mongering is crazy. I already explained to y'all in the video, especially on the Millionaire Morning Show, how they finesse money and how they try to do it through these nonprofit organizations that say that they are streets first, community advocates. We're going to go door to door. We're going to try to make sure that we have boots on the ground. We're going to do all of this stuff. That is one of the biggest finesses of all time. The biggest finesse is these community outreach and organizations inside of these blue cities that say that they have boots on the ground and that they are keeping the citizens safe by doing something like reaching out and keeping gang violence and making sure that it is the biggest crock of BS that we've ever seen in our entire life. All of the money is funded or is funneled from the federal government and the state through the police departments, ultimately to work with these community organizations that basically make former criminals who can't add any value into society. And so and go watch me and Charleston White interview. He was one of the biggest people that participated with these organizations. He found out, and then he gives the information to me. I do my own research. I find it out for myself. It's a way to basically funnel money to criminals that otherwise wouldn't be able to add any value, don't have any degrees, won't go and get a job, won't do something that's beneficial to the community, but they call themselves community advocates, and they run around and basically they're funded by taxpayers. And it's the biggest way for them to be able to steal money throughout the city. It's just the truth. That's why they keep asking for money and more funding to plug their budget, gaps, instead of asking for crime to be crushed. Crime has been monetized inside of the United States of America, and the black community are the ones that suffer the most from it.
We don't want to see homeless Chicagoans harassed or disappeared by federal agents. We don't want to see Chicagoans arrested for sitting on their porch. That's not who we are as a city, and that's not who we are as a nation. My team and I have spoken with the governor, the county president, and with our federal delegation, and we are in complete alignment. The time for action is now. With that, I will sign this executive order and then return for follow-up questions.
I don't need to see anymore. You guys don't need to see anymore. I'm going to continue to bring you guys more news and more visibility about what's happening all weekend, all week, every day. I am going to be your source for making sure that you understand what's happening in these liberal cities and popular culture in the streets. I love you. I appreciate you. Let me know what you guys think, and especially if you live in Illinois or the Chicago metropolitan area, let me know what y'all think about Mayor Brandon Johnson and this new executive order.